Hi everyone, Thanin here. Today I would like to share my experience about the note system that I use. The other day, my partner in Malaysia asked me about how the concept and why we need to use this system. So I would like to introduce today the Enconcept note system called the magic note. So let's begin so you understand a little bit more. So why we using Node? Because Node actually help us externalize what we learn. So and a good Node is a magic key in your life. You will find out later why Node is so important in your life. And the main reason why you need to make a note is because you try to developing a great mind. Great mind means that how you developing your brain so you learn better. So note is a tool for you to actually learn better or have a great mind. Like if you want to have a great success, I give you the example. When you want to have a great success, you need to pay attention to what you learn, and when you interest, then you started to put attention, more attention to single thing. You have concentration, we call intention, and you have retention, mean that you stay with it long enough, and you correct what you are not good at, then you be successful. And the same thing for the great mind. When you start learning, they say there's four step of having a great mind is to listen, to think, to question, and to note things down. So, and the noting down in the Bali is mean destine, or mean you actually write your own life. So the note system is your destiny. You'll find out later why it's like that. So this is the key things that maybe when you want to understand why node system is so important, the mechanic of a good node system, or when you're doing a learning, in nutshell is you need to have input. Input mean something or anything from reading. It could be from listening. It could be from your experience, something in a day-to-day life, like you are meeting someone or you see something. And the last one is questioning. So, and one more is you receive it back from the feedback. So once you receive an input, a good learning is you need to have output. Output means you need to use it. Use have many level. Like you note it down. Just simply note it down. When the teacher write something on a screen, you simply note it down on your paper. That's the most basic, but you don't use any brain. You just use your muscle. So it's the same with a copy machine. The mechanic is very simple. But if you want to learn, you need to reflect it out internally, like you think along, you feel along, or externally, like you write it down, you speak, or you do something about it. And once you do this, you will need to have the third process called you need to reflect over it. So, for example, you need to see whether what you're doing is correct or not. You need to get the advice from others people, and you get a response. Like for example, when you do something, you see how others people feel about your action. And because there's a three state that you need to do a spiral. Spiral means from a small learning is getting greater and greater. So you can see the first step is input to output, this to this. The important for you to be able to convert the state from a plain input to the good output is for you to think of the input as my input. What it means for me, why it is important for me, if it's gonna come for me, what I will get. So this is the input plus the feeling for me. So anything plus for me will be a good output for you. For you to think, for you to feel, for you to write down, for you to speak, and for you to do. When you do something powerful in your life, or you take a perspective of something, if it's not for you, you will not actually take advantage of the input that much. So if you think of the data, normally the data will convert to the information will convert further into the knowledge, and the knowledge will convert further to wisdom, and wisdom will convert further to a practical wisdom or pronesis. So what we see and how we convert this data is, when you think of my data, immediately this will be automatically convert to information. Because if the data is a plain data, it will not convert. But if the data is for me, it will become my data, or what we call information. And if the information convert to my information, it will be auto convert to knowledge. And when you have a knowledge, when it convert my knowledge, like for example, how to do that, how to do this, but this is my own way how to do that or how to do this, it will convert to your wisdom. So it is very important that you plus everything my input. Like when you study, you need to always think that this is my education, this is my life, and this is what my output is. The second one is how you convert the output to the feedback side. You can see this current output to the feedback is normally the ideal output minus actual output. What it means here is, whatever you do output here, there's an ideal state that you want or you try to accomplish. So you need to find the gap between the two, the ideal state of the output and the actual state of your input. It sounds like simple, but it's not that simple. So sometimes you need to take perspective to see this gap between the ideal state and the actual state that you are in. Like for example, you want to try to go for some exam, and this is the standard score that you need to achieve, but you are actually only achieve actual this much. So it means that you have this much of the gap that you need to accomplish. Feedback is a process that you try to reach the ideal state. So you need to compare between the ideal and the actual that you are in. But sometimes when you are in that actual state, you have no understanding, or you don't know then how you're gonna reach there on the ideal state. So you need someone to help to make a correction for you, to give you the advice, or to tell you what actually happening, why you cannot reach there. So that's the definition of the conversion between output to the feedback. And a feedback is also loop back into the input. Why? Because input is a plain input. If someone come and set the objective for you, it's not your input. The most powerful input is you need to be able to set is my feedback to convert into my input. It could be something like you start realization on something and you get aware, and then you use that as the input. Like for example, you find there's a gap, and the gap it become a problem that, or become a goal that you try to achieve, is to achieve to the ideal state. Then you use that like a problem question as the initial to begin with before you're doing something. So that's the basic concept for you to understand why you need to make a note. And the magic note is the note system that implement these three concepts together in just single system, and it's very simple to use. So let me summarize how the system works. So as you can see, when you get the book will have two pages, the left side and the right side. What we call here is the input side. So, for example, the input could come from what you have listened. You need to learn how to extract what you listen, convert the media to the writing, then you put it here. Or what you are reading, you extract the important things and you write here. Or it could come from your just following the note. Like for example, the teacher write on the screen and ask you to write down follow. So you can write this down so you don't forget. Or it comes from the ideas. Like when I have some ideas, I will make a note down immediately because the idea is like a firework. So it only be there for maybe maximum 10 seconds. After then the beautiful idea will just gone. Or it could come from the problems, the question, or the past things that you find out and you have realization. It could be the input too. Just now I said it comes from the feedback. It comes from the past feedback. And it could come from the experience that you have. And once you have the input, you need to convert this to the output. Normally, if you have the writing note, normally it will be input, 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 input. All the page is the input. There's no my input. There's no my output. There's no my my feedback. So the important part is how you convert all this into my plus input, my plus output, my plus feedback. Then you have the loop through. So when you come to the output, what output do is you express out whether feeling, thinking, writing, doing, or anything that you make it your input, it will become output. First thing is you think about it. You see this quadrant. So once you learn something here, what is your thinking about it? So this is the place where you usually draw the visual or the concept. Normally I will write here the summary. Like you see here, the overall things is what I think about this key concept. It's very simple, draw in the picture. Then you can question or you can make a summary here. So you have your own version of your own input, and you usually you can see the line have changed to the line base. So you can write it down line by line what it means for you. So what your understanding is. And here this quadrant called action is what you want to do in the future. Like once you have realization, what you want to do in the future. The do could be the output part, or the do could be the feedback part that you want to do something in the future. And the feedback here is mostly about others, people, or yourself. Actually reflect over again when you see overall here. We have two memory type. One is normal cognitive and another is called metacognitive. So when you see overall, you can feedback yourself, self-feedback, or you can do the social feedback, and you also can get the expert to actually have feedback over you. It could be your friend on the social side, and it could be your teacher on the right bottom part of the system. And why a good note is so important in your life? I think the first thing, what you see here, I only write a powerful one single page of every key concept that you can explain in the world. So I call this magic one page. So it's the single page of a magic note. So if you want to write this on every single subject in your life, or something that you want to learn, it is very powerful because it's not just input. It become my output, my input become output, become my output, become feedback, become my feedback, become a powerful input, again loop through your life. So the second thing is a strong output based learning. You may not be familiar with the word output based. The output based is the quadrant, input, output, and feedback. They're saying that once you have output based learning and you believe it's my input, it's my education, the brain will work harder to absorb that and you have a higher productivity of around 5 times more. So the third one is the magic note is the second brain. What you call by that, you just imagine that if you have handphone, you can do a lot of things with your external device that we cannot do before. Last time you cannot communicate with the people across the world, but now you can. You just press a few buttons, you'll be able to do something like magical. So magic note is the same thing. It extends how our brain work and become a secondary brain for us. The third, you can use magic note for your life. We call this past note. Like you note down some of your things in the past, so you can do a reflection, so you can see how we're gonna do things now. Or you use magic note to write the present note. We have a system here called Max Planner that actually specialize and make your discipline on a present note, and what we call future note, mean that what you're gonna do. So it's the specialized form of the note that we can extend the current form of the note to do. And what magic note do is it deepening your mind. So because you think it's your own input, your own output, your own feedback, it deepening when you start to do it by yourself. It deepening your concept, your visual, your diagram, because you do it. If you don't understand, you will not be able to teach. If you don't understand, you will not be able to output. So once you be able to output, you will be able to understand it and remember it clearly, and you will be able to understand it deeply as well. And the note inspire new ideas and solution. Maybe when you have the experience reading something, sometimes you have some idea pop up, but when you start doing it in your mind and write the note down, you have even more idea actually pop up. So you need to try for yourself, especially when you try to solve some problem, when you note it down, because it's a secondary brain and the productivity is 5 times greater than normal. It will help you to actually boost up your brain 5 times and extend your current capability. And the note will make you realize and make more self-understanding. Sometimes when you start to write down, you start to know about your own process or your own misunderstanding, so you realize something in your life. And the magic note also help you to call for action and improvement, because you can see that we have one specialized column here for action. So you need to write down what action that you need to do. For me, when I have a good idea, none of the good idea is good for the world if you don't make an action. So when you make an action, that's good. And the magic note help you habitualize, because once you write down the note and you do it often, it becomes semi-automate and become automate, or what we call it become habitualized. It become your own habit. So this is the good tools for you to learn how to think and making yourself a great mind. And the last one, magic note help you to change yourself and at the end change the world. So it sounds like a big ideas, but whatever change in this world started from changing yourself. Like you have more courage to do something. And the magic note system is very, very simple. So you just have 3 things that you just need to familiar with it. You need to have a belief in it, and you need to commit to do. But the worst when people using notes is you write everything as input. So if you don't have output, just leave it blank, and then you can come and write down later. And for me, to wrap up this, a good thing is created twice. I feel when you write a note one time in magic note, so I write a good things, like if you want to have 100 million of project, I used to write down that I want to achieve a sales deal of 100 million, and I make it happen. The second time it happened in the real world, because you already plan, you already feel, you already think of the scenario how to make it happen, and you must start now. Um, you can go to Enconcept branch and get it, or you can draw the left and right and follow the format. Things this version of the magic note happened because my partner in Malaysia, out of curiosity, he see the magic note and he asked me that how he can do it too. I think it's a good feeling because once you see the input, you start to have the realization that my input or the output, he want to do it too. So it's a good thing. So that's why this video is specialized for him, but I will share with everyone too. I would like to thank everyone to spending a time to do this. But this small little thing may change your life. I would like to invite everyone to try this system. You can do in a normal paper, or you can use Enconcept magic note that already specialized for this note system. Thank you everyone.